Do you have the witch wound? The witch wound is a certain kind of fear that one might have. It's really often described as a generational trauma that's linked to persecution, particularly of women or those in their divine feminine, and that persecution around expressing your spiritual gifts, your intuitive power, your wisdom, and manifesting fear of being judged or silenced or persecuted. I'll tell you all about the very first past life that I recalled, which included a recollection of being burned at the stake as a witch. In this podcast, I'm going to discuss the historical significance of those who were labeled as witches and the importance of honoring your own authentic calling to nature and your healing gifts. That's what this episode is all about on Charmed Life. So thanks for joining me and stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe, and I am your host. My name is Tricia Carr. Welcome to this episode. I'm very excited to be here with you today at this time, at this season of the thinning of the veil, as it is called. And I had actually presented this episode to feature my wonderful friend, my fellow witch, Stephanie C. Weinman, but life got very lifey, so Stephanie wasn't able to join me today. Now, we are doing our program, the Witchcraft Workshop. It is currently in enrollment. That means you can sign up right now and get the full course. And then we're also doing a workshop around it where we're going to open up more content and do group rituals together. And that is coming up on Sunday. That is October 27th, as I am doing this live stream. And that is going to be with Stephanie and myself. And so those of you who do know Stephanie, I'm going to show a little sample of a class of Stephanie so that I can make good on my promise to present Stephanie today. So do check out the Witchcraft Workshop. Whether you understand what it means to identify as a witch or not, I'm going to break that down today, and I will tell you that it's all about love. It's all about connection. It's about being able to harness your magical, spiritual gifts, your intuition into a powerful manifestation. But I'm going to talk about what this means. Now, it's actually become quite popular in, I would say, in spiritual community in general, to embrace the term witch again. Now, there are still some people who have fear around that, and I understand that. And if that is where you are, absolutely no judgment. And I would just invite you to either be curious if you want to listen to this, or go ahead and move on. You know what I mean? Like, we are all on our own journey. And what I will tell you right up front is that the subject of your craft and of your witch, embracing your witch identity, has nothing to do with harming anyone at all. In fact, it is the absolute contrary. So if you're joining this on the live stream, then I want you to, if you would like, go ahead and drop me a comment. Tell me where you are flying in from to be a part of this, and if you have any questions. And then, of course, if you're listening on the podcast feed, thank you so much for listening and for being a part of this collective creation of this spiritual community. So thank you, and hello. So please say hello. I see that we have some people here live. I can see the count of the people who are live. If you want to ask a question or just tell me what it is that you're coming here to receive, and I'm here for you. Let's talk about the witch wound. As I said at the very beginning, this witch wound concept, it represents generational trauma that is linked to the perception of persecution. And this persecution is particularly of women, or you might even say the divine feminine. It might be something that any gender of person, gender identity, would be experiencing this. But it does seem to target that feminine quality. And it is a fear of being persecuted for expressing your spiritual gifts, your intuitive power, your wisdom, and it might just manifest into this need to be silenced, or this fear of being silenced, or this fear of being judged. And so I thought I would share with you right up front here the very first past life that I recalled after my spiritual awakening, or you might say my metaphysical awakening, opening my psychic abilities. And that was of a memory of being, as the classic scenario is, burned at the stake as a witch. So this life, I remember very specifically, even though it was over 10 years ago that I actually recalled this past life. I was a woman, about 27, 28 years old is what I kind of picked up on in this as I brought in this past version of myself. I had this long kind of textured hair that was like a kind of a light brown, which is, I have pretty light blonde hair in this life. So I don't know, as I recall her, I love feeling that cascading, very long, unbound, kind of wavy, kind of a little bit of curly brown hair. It's nice to put on that identity and to feel her within me, because it's just something different. It's like I don't even have to put on a costume for Halloween or Samhain, because I can recall this version of myself. And so that's one aspect of her. I can feel her wearing these long skirts with like an apron, but very, very long, but with some nice ruffles to them, and an apron because in her home, she's always doing some kind of crafting. She's putting together soups and potions and tinctures. She has a lot of, I'm going to call her she because I'm not her now. She has a lot of animals around her. And here's one thing that's really key is that she's 27 years old and she's unmarried. And this is significant because the time that I feel this to be is somewhere in the late 16th century. So in the 1500s, in the later years there, maybe the 1580s, somewhere around in there. That's what it feels like. It feels like provincial France, maybe, which is interesting because my actual bloodline lineage does show it's like, I think my DNA test, it says something like 70% Western European, and then about, I think it was 73%, honestly. And then it's like 13% Eastern European. And then there's like a few percentages that, 0.5%, all of us have African heritage, of course, and then just miscellaneous stuff or unknown. So I may actually be tapping into one of my own ancestors, a life of me as my ancestor. Yes, that is a thing. Why wouldn't it be? So, so she is about 27 years old. Again, it's like a provincial French or Spanish area. I can't really dial in. Maybe it's somewhere that is a culture that includes both, because I feel her able to speak French and Spanish. But even though I don't speak those European languages fluently now, I have a sense, I can feel into it, that it is much older dialects, that the dialects are different than we have today. And she is, like I say, about 27 years old, which is pretty old for that time period. We didn't live as long, and she's unmarried. And it's like that alone would have been enough for her to be accused of being a witch because she was unmarried. So here's one point that, as I recall my past life, is the persecution about having a lifestyle as a woman, making choices as a woman that were independent, that were outside of a certain tradition or a norm, literally outside of tradition. Because I don't know if some people say like traditional this, traditional that. There's actually a historical specific meaning by the word traditional. The word traditional refers to God is the head of man, and man is the head of woman and the household. So you see this hierarchy of a man needing to be head of me in order for me to be in the correct lineage that connects me to God. So you see how in this life that I picked up on, just being unmarried was enough to draw persecution. The other scenes, though, that I pick up, the other elements of this life that I recalled really in just like this one sitting, this one flash, I am also using earth medicine or holistic medicine. I'm making potions and healing soups and broths. I have animals all around me and, cats, and I have, as I do in this life, I have communication with them. They help me with my healing arts, and I recognize that. I even have these scenes where people are coming to me from far away to receive my medicine because they've heard about it and it's just what they need. Things for the skin, balms and salves for the skin, things to heal the stomach, such as broths and other kinds of tinctures and potions. And then also holding the energy healing and holding them in prayer, which was spells, giving them spells, actually crafting spells for them, or we might call them prayers, that they can recite, but it's not just recite, just the way that we do affirmations. They can apply to themselves so that they can bring up that healing mindset and the healing qualities, because healing is an inside-out practice. And then I also see that sometimes I had one particular familiar, one animal, in a cat. Actually, no, I had a dog too, they're showing me. I had a cat that would particularly sometimes want to be a part of the healing service. And so the cat would be invited to sit on the lap of the person who was receiving my medicine. So flash forward to the persecution piece of this life. And that persecution piece is, oh my goodness, the parts of it that actually bring, a visceral quality to it is that I was strapped to a stake, and it's gruesome. I was strapped to it and set on fire. But they put that cat with me, that one that I'm talking about, and they bound him to me as well. And the reason I say him is because that cat, I sense that he reincarnated in this life with me. He's been passed for about 10 years. His name was Aramis. His name is Aramis, and which is actually a French name. Oh my gosh, I'm just realizing that. I named Aramis after one of the Three Musketeers. That's the name of one in French. So that's really funny. I'm just recognizing that right now. So Aramis was reincarnated with me in this life, and in that previous life, he was persecuted with me. He was taken down with me. I also had, as the flames started, one of my birds on my shoulder, and she stayed with me for as long as she could, and then she took off. And in this life, she reincarnated with me as my cockatiel, Shale, who has actually been passed for about 16 years now. And we were together for about 15. Ami and I were together. Ami is my nickname for the cat, Aramis. Ami and I were also together for about 16 years before he made his graduation. And in this scene of my graduation, of being burned at the stake for being a witch, I also see my parents, and my parents are watching this. And the person who was my father in that life is my husband in this life. And in addition to that, some of my animals who were a part of my brood, they dispersed. They all went away. But there was one cat in particular who gravitated to my parents, and particularly my father, in this life, my husband. This cat was actually white in that life. In this life, he has reincarnated as my cat, Franzi, who is, if you're familiar with any of the things that I do, if you've been listening to me or if you've been in any of my classes, Franzi, the one I'm referring to, is my famous cat, who is the best kitty hug ever cat. He has over 20 million views on YouTube. And so that's the Franzi I'm talking about. When this life was recalled, Franzi hadn't had that viral sensation yet, so it's very interesting. And then there were also other animals that have reincarnated from that life into this life. So that was the very first past life that I recalled. Now, since then, I have also found that I actually am a natural bloodline descendant of people who were Norse. They were Norse, and they were, earth magicians, and were labeled as witches. I also, around that same time, I had a spirit guide come to me or interact with me for a short amount of time. And she gave me her identity in the last life, or that she was coming to me as a human. And she gave me her name and her husband's name. And I was actually able to look up and find these people's names in historical record as people who were persecuted as witches in Massachusetts in the 1690s, somewhere around there. It's amazing. Their names came to me completely through my mediumistic connection with this spirit guide. And it begs the question, am I actually blood related to that person? I don't know. I don't have all of the branches of my family tree intact. So I haven't been able to trace to see if that is actually a blood relative. Could be though, or it could be just a spiritual connection. So I want to see who's here. Those who are here on the live feed. Mary Spirit, I started subscribing on YouTube because I saw a video of yours pop up on my feed. Well, thank you, Mary. I appreciate it. That's wonderful. Thanks for coming. And hi, Kate. Oh, so nice to see you, Kate. Love you so, so much. So, hi, Alexis is here too. Well, hello, Alexis. If you all want to share anything on the feed here about, your interest in what it means to tap into, your witchcraft, if you identify as that, or in that kind of earth magic, go ahead and share it. I would love to hear it and tell the audience who are listening all about it. So I want to draw your attention to the show notes where you'll find the registration link for the Witchcraft workshop that Stephanie C. Weinman and I are teaching. Again, it's a course and a workshop. So the course is already there with beautiful content, beautiful PDFs, audios, rituals and spells, and classes. And I'm going to play you a little sample of a class, one of the ones that Stephanie teaches. And so like I said, there's a course that you get to have access to immediately. And then we meet on Sunday for 3 hours to do some rituals together. One of the rituals we're doing that I think is so important right now is called sympathy magic, a sympathy magic ritual. Sympathy magic is when you are holding a healing for someone else, whether that's an individual or a group. So it's a very activated spell, ritual, prayer. So we will be using, pardon me as I make noise and reach across my desk to grab for those who are watching on the video. We will be using candle magic, herb magic, crystal magic, and tapping into the spiritual elements, the spiritual qualities of these different implements, these different correspondences. And for example, just so you know, a candle actually represents all 4 physical elements. Obviously the flame. There is the earth quality of the wax and the wick. And then the wax actually represents water because as it melts, it turns into liquid. And then, of course, the air, because fire can't exist without air. And then as we speak around it, into it, we can see the impact of our voice on it through the element of air. So we've got the earth, the fire, the air, and the water all in a candle. And then, of course, we add that 5th element of spirit by bringing our own essence to it. I'm going to put this candle right here. I'm going to leave it here for the rest of the broadcast. I don't think the audio... Oh, you know what I can do? Put it up on a deck. Little stack of cards so you can see it. Oh, that's nice. I love it. Okay, so anyway, invited to that witchcraft workshop. Oh, I was telling you about the sympathy magic. So sympathy magic is holding healing on behalf of another. And again, the reason this is, I think, so critical right now is there are a couple of really painful war zones, at least a couple. There's many, but there are a couple that are very much on my heart right now. There's a lot going on with people who are suffering. And so whether it is a collective like a nation or a people that is under some kind of extreme suffering, such as war, or if it's your beloved, or if in this case, I have a cat who's having health challenges, and I'm having the intention of I'm not sure. I'm going to wait and see because I just might do it again another day. I'm going to see what I'm going to use as my intention when we do the sympathy magic together. And we'll see if it's going to be either my kitty or, one of these critical areas where people are suffering. Those are the two things that are very much on my heart. So Mary says, I will pay for a recording of yeah, you will get the replay. So if you join, you have the whole course. And then, of course, you have the replay of the workshop. So, yeah, you should, if you would like to do that. When does it start, Alexis? It's this Sunday, October 27th, and it will be the live workshop will be from 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific. And so that would be, if you're on the East Coast, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 7. Is that right? Did I get it right? Yeah. And, of course, you get the replay. Yeah, I'd love to have you. Alexis, haven't seen you in so long. Well, I mean, I see you online, but I haven't seen you like on video. I guess we haven't actually met in person before, have we? So Stephanie and I will be leading that together. And I want to share with you, those of you who don't know, if you haven't had the thrill, the honor, and the blessing to meet Stephanie. Stephanie is a practicing witch. She has been for quite a while. She's actually an eclectic witch, meaning that she has many different kinds of craft that she partakes of, including, elemental magic, spell magic. She makes tinctures and sprays, and she's a kitchen witch as well. So this is what, has always been on Stephanie's heart. Like me, she is a descendant of European, Norse, Celtic, English women who are witches. And so we share that because it's very much a part of our true authenticity in our ethnicity. And so we really appreciate that. Stephanie is the founder of Spirit and Sage Healing, which empowers individuals to tap into their inner magic through workshops and rituals. Stephanie is actually currently pursuing and about to graduate with her bachelor's in community and human services because she is dedicated to advocating those who are seeking their own voice for their health. She is an activist, an advocate for women's health, and so beautiful. Her spirituality holds this activistic quality to it that is just fire in all of those positive ways. I just enjoy being with her. She is so kind, so loving, and so powerful. What an amazing combination of compassion, power, because you're able to just create, when she creates resonance with you, you feel very empowered. She's very actually gentle, but strong. It's a beautiful paradox. I just love Stephanie so much, and I invite you to check out the workshop because by the way, I want to tell you too, our intention is, so we have the course of the Witchcraft workshop, and then we are adding this, live workshop that's really in honor of Samhain, which is All Hallows Eve or Halloween, which I'll talk about here in a moment too. And then, there are 8 festivals or Sabbats throughout, and I'm going to play you a sample of Stephanie's class on the Wheel of the Year. So we've just decided, we haven't literally scheduled it yet, but we want to do a workshop with a ritual and some teaching and some gathering on each of these Sabbats going forward. So what you can do is, we're going to make it so that if you want to come, the next one will be Yule, and that's like December 20th or 21st. I'm not sure where it falls this year. You can just come to that workshop. You can, buy registration. You don't have to actually buy this course. This is just the kickoff that we do. So, but I do highly recommend that you get the course, and then you'll get the kickoff. The Samhain is actually the witch's new year. So, let's talk about Samhain, and then I will keep talking about the witch wound. Samhain is a festival that is, of the 8 festivals around of the year, it is the one that's the name of it. So you might look at it the way it's spelled. The way it's pronounced looks different than the way it's spelled because I think it's actually a Celtic word. And it's spelled Samhain, and it's pronounced Samhain. And it's actually predates Halloween, and it predates it is a sense of All Hallows Eve that we celebrate, like Dia de los Muertos in Mexico and other Latin American countries. It is older than those celebrations, and it is what they are derived from. And it indicates the thinning of the veil that, and I think we can all feel it, right? Around this time of year, the veil really does get thinnest around that 3-day, like the 3-day period that tends to fall around October 31st. And then we call the 31st and the 1st those peak days. And that's how we celebrate it. So that's what we're taking advantage of. And what it means when the veil is thin, it means that our intuition is really amplified. And so our capacity to move across physical and non-physical, and to bring the non-physical into the physical, or to bring spirit into the physical, is much more amplified at that time. And then if we do something, as we are, like rituals, where we're integrating elements from candles or crystals, and we're calling on their essences with the intention of upliftment, of healing, of something that is unity consciousness, because that is how we heal. We actually just move into all is whole. Then, and as we allow those essences to join to us, and then it helps us to focus our own energy, because you are the magic. It's not like this candle is magic. This candle has spiritual essence, just like you do. But if we ask for it to lend its spiritual essence to us from our own empowerment, then that's how magic can be amplified. So that's what Samhain is, and that's what we are doing on the 27th. And then you can take that energy into your the rest of your week, and of course the rest of your year, because that is the witch's new year. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the witch wound. Oh, let me see what's going on with the comments. Anyone have? Yes, exactly, Alexis. Alexis has spelled it on the screen here. Samhain, it's spelled Samhain, and it's the All Hallows Eve festival. So, the witch wound. Now, I have been really working on my witch wound my whole journey. I would like to say my whole life, and yeah, sure, but especially since I had my opening, my metaphysical opening, and my opening to my psychic and intuitive gifts. Just muted myself there for a second so I could take a sip, and you didn't have to hear me swallow. Water's important, though. Oh, hi, Tracy. Tracy is here. Nice to see you. Tracy's going to be in the workshop. Kate is, too. Kate and Tracy are in the workshop. So, the witch wound. The witch wound, it really is a sense of feeling disconnected from the divine feminine, feeling as though you have to put the divine feminine away. The wound actually can often result in that sense of the divine feminine not being safe, can lead to feelings of unworthiness, even guilt and shame, or just repression of your own spiritual and intuitive abilities. What is interesting is that, as we all, of course, know, we have been in this kind of toxic patriarchy experience for quite a while now, many generations, of hundreds of years, is almost as far as we can see. And, there are more ancient times where there was actually more of the dominance of the matriarchy. And in those times, there was definitely toxic matriarchy. It's very interesting. So it's like the pendulum swings. And so having that balance, as we balance our divine feminine, as we let her out of the closet, let her to be strong, expressed in her magic, in her sensuality, in her power. And when I say sensuality, maybe you hear sexuality. Yes, of course, that's fine. But working with elements is essential, meaning using your senses and your creativity. All of that is really in that area of the divine feminine. Letting your sensuality be a driving force of your creativity. That's all balancing the divine feminine. And as we balance our divine feminine, each and every one of us, regardless of our gender identity, we will then heal and balance any of the patriarchy of the masculine that has been in that area of toxicity. And so every one of us suffers from toxic masculinity and repressed divine feminine. That's And so we're finding our balance here again. And we certainly don't want to swing the pendulum the other way where we have abusive feminine energy either, right? Like, so that's what we're talking about here. Very holistic, very whole. So the way that we heal the witch wound is through reclaiming our power. And spiritual healing involves reclaiming your power, your inner wisdom, and to break free from fear-based conditioning, to embrace your innate, natural spiritual gifts that were once condemned or suppressed or persecuted. And I mean once in this lifetime. We are all experiencing that. Even, as I'm sharing about this workshop, I just saw on a Facebook post, and it was just an image of Stephanie and me, and it says Witchcraft Workshop. And then, of course, there's like text around it. And there was a person who by their name appeared to be a male and said, "Oh, you're satanic, you're practicing Satan stuff." I can't remember how he said it. And then, said, "You need God." And it's indeed, we do have God in this. Because God is the energy of the all that is, of creator. And we are harnessing that for positive and empowered purposes. If God is a divine parent, and you can imagine, whether you're a parent or not, you can imagine what a perfect or a divine parent would be. And wouldn't a divine, perfect parent want their child to be empowered, to be fortified from within, to know how they can create what it is that they're here to create in love, to be able to give from a overflowing cup to others, so that the rest of God's children can also be nourished. And by the way, maybe we all need goddess, right? So on this post, someone who by her name appeared to be a woman said, "You don't know what you're talking about. These practices are healing," and she said, "You need God too." This person, and it was kind of comical, honestly, and but just the ignorance about any of it. It's really just that same old wound. So there is a collective component to this. Healing your own individual witch wound can help to heal the collective, because as an individual, as you heal your witch wound, as you balance your feminine, you can contribute to the collective healing, the collective of feminine energy on this planet. And you can promote balance of power and freedom of expression and your just capacity to grow spiritually. And I want to point out here this word power, that my spirit guides, I actually did a live podcast a month or two ago, probably a couple months ago. And spirit dropped this reclamation of the word power into my heart, saying the only true power is love. The only true power is I am well, you are well. The only true power is it helps all and harms none. And so that is the power that we're talking about, cultivating from within. In this, you might also, in healing your witch wound, you might be embracing your path as a healer. Now, does that mean that it will be your profession and how you make money? I don't know. Or will it be that it is just who you are in everything that you do? Overcoming and healing your witch wound can enable you to be an embodiment of that healer archetype, allowing you to step into your role as a spiritual healer, a leader, a guide, and without any fear of persecution or rejection. And in that, you actually meet people where they are, so that they don't need to feel afraid or rejected by you, the way that a lot of times religion tends to leave one feeling. When a religious person, and not all religions and not all people who are religious, but when a religious person is trying to proselytize and trying to change your beliefs. In spirituality, when you're a true spiritual experience is that it's personal and that it overflows to others just by love and compassion. And you don't care what anybody else believes or whether they validate what you believe. That's what spirituality is about. And dogma is about needing others to validate what you believe and also that they believe the same way that you believe. And that's not what we are doing in our practices here. You know, witches, those who were labeled as witches, and we're reclaiming that word because the etymology of witch actually means weird, means unusual, means atypical. Like the life that I recalled where I was atypical, I didn't get married. I didn't find anyone that I wanted to marry. And, you know, that witch quality about being weird or being unusual, and all of us are, each and every one of us is our own unique fractal piece. So witches are traditionally in our past, I would say, they are or were probably healers and herbalists. Many women who were labeled as witches were actually skilled herbalists and midwives. And this is a part of Stephanie's passion for women's health advocacy, because apparently a lot historically, these women who were persecuted and as witches, and this myth that they eat babies is because a woman would come to the practitioner, to the health practitioner, and she may have been having a difficult pregnancy or a pregnancy that was harming her, or a pregnancy that was unwanted, and that they were performing abortions, or just that it was really dangerous to have babies before. It was like a 50% fatality rate for the mother to birth children back in these days. And so because they were midwives and possibly also performing a termination of pregnancies, and that they were then again labeled as eating babies or doing something with them, when it could have been just a very, as best as possible, medical practice. If you think about it, someone who goes to the midwife and intends to have this birth, but the child doesn't survive, the fetus doesn't survive by just the fact that it didn't happen. Women so marginalized at this time, and the pride of procreating for the man, to have a son to carry on his land, and all of that kind of stuff, then they might, blame the women involved, and again, take all of the shame that individual felt and then put it into the women doing the best that they could. Those are just some scenes that I'm recalling. Those were definitely common things that happened during these times. So what I'm talking about is just also misunderstanding of spiritual practices. Women often engaged in these times, they engaged in spiritual practices such as divination, energy healing, and rituals honoring the earth, calling on the moon, and were just simply misunderstood and demonized by religious and societal structures, and that led to their persecution. And what is interesting is that modern Christian religion, when Constantine actually Christianized the state religion of Rome at the time, he actually Christianized it, and he made all of those really pagan practices a part of the new version of this religion of Christianity. I mean, Yule predates Christmas, and it's the same as, I'm sure y'all know, the Christmas tree and all these different, what am I thinking of? Easter and Ostara. I mean, Ostara is the original word, and doesn't it sound just like Easter? Bunnies and eggs, those are all a part of these spiritual rituals for each of these Sabbats. So it's really fun to think about how these lineages have gotten all confused. And then, of course, that witch wound, women being targeted to control them and from fear. As women's healing arts flourished outside of institutional control at these historical points, would have been more of the church then. That's how the medicine was, all just like politics and the state and everything. Medicine was also all just like mixed up with the church. That's just how things were, which is why this country of the United States that I live in, when they came here, they wanted to institute a separation of church and state for those purposes. At any rate, women were scapegoated at this time because especially during social upheaval, especially during disease and famine, and accused of witchcraft, as if their practices that were holistic and honoring the earth and calling on the earth. My candle's going out. It's going out all on its own, and it's just beautiful. They were actually blamed for these natural occurrences, and undermined their capacity to, actually be who they really were, and then were persecuted, and they weren't able to have control over their own health or spirituality or their own social order. So that is a little bit about the witch wound, and that's something you can definitely work on in our workshop together if you like. Let me see what's going on. Christina says, my first encounter with you, very intriguing. Well, nice to meet you, Christina. Wonderful to meet you. And Mary says, judging out of ignorance, we could view all of us as being undereducated. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to play you a little sample from the Witchcraft workshop, again, of Stephanie teaching, because I promised that Stephanie would be here. And as I said at the beginning, life got very lifey for Stephanie, and she will be with us on Sunday. I have here some tiny tarot cards I just wanted to show, because we will be talking about divination, some divination practices, including tarot. Tarot is very old and has these, it's basically like a Gestalt archetypal of all of basically the personality fractals in each one of us. So we're going to talk a little bit about tarot. We're also going to be talking about runes. Runes are my favorite. I use runes so much, so much, almost daily. So these are my runes that actually, and I pulled Soilo. Soilo is the sun. It's a very positive rune. So I'm going to take that as a rune for all of us. I just actually drew this rune, and I'm going to say the Soilo is for all of us right now. And then we're also going to be doing rituals, and I'm going to play you a little sample of what those rituals look like. So, but there was something else I was going to say. I guess not. So I'm going to cue up the class, and I hope you enjoy this little sample of Stephanie teaching us about the Wheel of the Year. And away we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our lesson on the Wheel of the Year. In this lesson, I'm going to explain what the Wheel of the Year is and why it is so important to the magical work that we do. I am so excited to be talking to you all about this today, as the Wheel of the Year has really enhanced my life in so many ways, and I'm sure that is going to for you as well. So let's get started. First off, the Wheel of the Year is a calendar of celebration for the seasonal transitions that occur every 6 weeks. Now, I know you may be surprised, as we are all used to only having our 4 seasons in 12 months: winter, spring, summer, and fall. But where it comes to the Wheel of the Year, we have 8 seasons. So the first Wheel of the Year was created in the 1950s by Ross Nichols. And even though the Wheel of the Year wasn't created until the 20th century, the festivals and celebrations that it represents have been around for centuries. And actually, most of these festivals predate even Christianity and really are the foundation for many Christian holidays. And you will be learning more about that as we move on. In ancient times, when these festivals were celebrated, our ancestors were far more tuned in with nature. It was really a time that they were truly a part of nature, and their survival depended on their connection with nature. So this is why these festivals were so important to them. And it really literally was life and death for them. And because of that, there was a deep connection to spirit and earth. Our ancestors really had to labor for everything they had, where it came to, wood for their fires, all of their food. They had their crops, they had, their herbs, their vegetables, their fruits, everything that they grew and foraged for was really collected, obviously, towards the end of the year. And they had to celebrate, they wanted to celebrate all of those seasonal transitions, which gave them their sustenance of life for their families and their communities. When it comes to modern times in our magical work, being able to use this knowledge and connection to nature is really going to grow your personal power and magic that resides within all of us. And as we learn about each Sabbath, which is the secret witch's festivity, as we learn about that in the Wheel of the Year, you will grow to connect with the seasonal energy, which will really move you forward in your magical workings and your magical knowledge. And that's what we really want to do right here. We want to grow all of your magical knowledge so that you can really put in your best intention and really honor where all of this came from.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I love Stephanie so much, and she's just so. Oh, my candle is still. Oh, it's just flickering away right now. If you're on the video, you can see the last little flickers of the air and the fire and the earth interacting together and drowning in the water of the rest of the wax. So, this lesson is so beautiful, and she gives us many lessons in it. And then I teach many lessons, and then we do the rituals together. And so you have these beautiful PDFs that we've created that help us to be able to bring that information from the classes in on a deeper level, to apply it by a different input. And I want to share with you now, too, how these rituals actually work. So the rituals that we're doing, there are three. There's one already in the student portal that is your health and well-being ritual. So what we do is we give you a PDF that has outlines what it is that you want to bring to that particular session. So it might be, all of them involve a candle. So for the health and well-being spell and ritual, we suggest a green candle, but you can substitute any color of candle with white. And you can just also go intuitively. These are just suggestions. Then there's also a particular crystal, and there might be an herb or a botanical that we're using. And then we also have a spell that I actually craft for us all to resound together. So what we're doing is actually activating it physically through a practice that is really like body praying. So you'll find as I show this next piece to you, and whether you're listening or watching, I think you might get the gist of it, that you can be intuitive with how you are interacting with the elements. So the rituals, you'll come to class or just prepare it for yourself with those few elements, those correspondences of candle, herb, anything that we have suggested there. And you'll have them ready to actually go along with the guidance. Now, the guidance that is provided is both an audio and video. So you could either watch it or just listen to it, and you can participate how you like. And you might use some intuitive movements, like if you're watching the video of me doing it, you might see me swaying a little bit or doing a prayer hands or touching my third eye. And I encourage you to just see how your body might want to move a little bit in the practice. And then, for example, one of the rituals suggests that you take your rosemary and you do circles around the candle in order to call up the essences of those correspondences. And I have it produced in a meditative sense with a track that my husband's a musician, that with music that actually has meditative prompts within it, the frequencies of it. And then, of course, I have it produced with my meditative tone because I'm a hypnotherapist and meditation teacher and guide. So that is... And using your body to, light the candle, to do any other movements that might be intuitive, or to interact with the elements of the herbs and crystal. And then also to use your voice with the spells that are actually crafted. They're very simple spells that just help you to elicit, very much like affirmations or hypnotic suggestions, help you to call up the emotional quality of that empowered and beautiful energy of healing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share a little bit, probably not the whole thing because it's several minutes, of one of these rituals. This is the health and well-being ritual. And if I skip ahead a little bit, it's just because, pardon me for skipping. If it sounds a little off, I'm doing that on purpose so you can get to another part of it. So here we go. Health and well-being, ritual and spell. Purpose: to summon physical balance, health, and well-being from nature and spirit. Suggested timing: anytime needed. Magical items: for your herb, rosemary, a fresh sprig or dried, a yellow or white candle, a lighter or match, and a citrine crystal. Set your ritual area. Lay your crystal and herb on your altar cloth. Set your candle in its holder on the cloth. Charge and unite your candle, crystal, and rosemary. Light your candle. Take a moment of reverence and gratitude to welcome each element represented in the candle. You may want to hold your hands in prayer mudra as you welcome and ponder each element. Contemplate how, in your candle, earth is represented by the hardened wax. Air is represented by the smoke. Water is represented by the melting wax. Fire is represented in the flame. As you contemplate each element, you are beginning to fuse awareness with each. This fusing with pure elemental energy has the power to restore and balance physical health and well-being. Take a moment or so to contemplate the spiritual qualities of each. And to the rosemary. Once this is done, pause. Feel your own energy infused with this sacred binding. Now resound with your voice. I invoke the power of infinity. I invoke the power of infinity. To balance and restore health in me. To balance and restore health in me. Seal the ritual. Place your crystal and rosemary on your cloth and face your candle. Hold the prayer mudra in front of your heart and seal your work by resounding, I receive balance from nature and divine. I receive balance from nature and divine. As surely as I breathe, so mote it be. As surely as I breathe, so mote it be. Draw in a divine breath and blow out your candle. Aftercare. Dispose of the herb and spice by returning to the earth with gratitude. And that is a little sampling. And my candle that I have here was able to hang on so that I could blow it out myself. Took me a couple of blows, but I blew out my candle live with us. So that's a little bit about the things that we have going on, and just wanted to give you a hearty welcome. And yes, if you are interested, the whole course is there for you. And if you can't make the live workshop, which is Sunday, this coming Sunday, October 27th, that you'll have the replay. And I call, when you watch the replay of something, I call it time traveling, because you really are included in it. You know, we're going to have Q&A. We're going to, actually, thank you. Spirit's just reminding me right now. Stephanie and I are going to talk about that day. We're going to have a discussion, I guess a little bit of an education about animal familiars, about your animals as a part of your magical practice. And obviously, as your healers and a part of your life and just the healing role that they play in your life. Stephanie has 4 cats. 3 of them are orange and 1 of them is silver. I also have 4 cats. 1 of mine is silver and the other 3, 2 of them are black and white tuxies and 1 of them is all black with just a little bit of a priest color, a little bit of tuft of white right there is his neck. I also have 2 birds. So we are both crazy about our animals. And we're going to be doing, I guess, a little bit of a lesson, but also just sharing some stories about how our animals have been a magical part of our lives and our healing. So nice. It seems so natural to me. Oh, good, Alexis. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Kate says, my palms are throbbing with energy as I open to this ritual. Wonderful. Wonderful. And the one that I just shared is the health and well-being ritual, and it's actually available in the student portal right now. I highly recommend that you do these practices as many times as you want to. You can do it with a guide track or without. And the thing also I should mention is, like I said, you could substitute the candle, and the crystal for that particular ritual, we suggest a citrine, but you could substitute a clear quartz crystal, or another thing you can do is a found stone. Oh, I have wonderful found stones, which means I go out into nature and there's just one that calls to me, whether it's by its physical beauty that I can see, or it's just I'm drawn to it energetically. And those found stones are actually a beautiful part of my magical practice too. In addition to the ones that are, kind of polished and pleasing. This is my Lemurian quartz point that I'm showing on the video. So you don't need anything. And if you like, rosemary is suggested in that. I have several neighbors who have rosemary bushes. So I usually go and harvest my own rosemary. And, but you can substitute it with anything else, or you can just spiritually hold the awareness of rosemary. In that particular healing, what we were doing was drawing an infinity symbol, figure 8, an infinity symbol with the rosemary. So if you just imagined holding rosemary and, because you don't actually need anything at all. It is your energy that actually it is the activation of it. But we've given all of the preparation of correspondences in advance, so you can get as precise with those suggestions if you like. And it's not a lot of stuff, but it's fun to be able to add that to a part of your ritual as well. I mean, actually bringing together the correspondences. And then there's a lesson on how to craft your own spells, how to craft a sigil for yourself. It's just beautiful. So that's what we have going on. And thank you for coming to this podcast. I hope it inspired something in you. whatever that might be, whether it's healing around your divine feminine, healing around feeling persecuted, or if you identify with excitement about being weird, about being a witch, and these beautiful ancient practices of earth magic, I hope that you received something from it. And I guess that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you to those of you who came live. I had a great time. I hope you did too. Please remember, if you want to subscribe to the podcast, whether it's on the YouTube channel, subscribe, leave a comment, share, like, and of course, then there's the audio version. So if you're listening on audio, I would love to invite you to leave a review on this podcast, and that's usually by opening up the app, however it is that you get it, and you find that place where you can leave a review on Spotify or Apple, whichever way that you're doing it. That really helps, and it just gives us a little direct connection to energy together. So that would be really great. Other than that, I have also my Astral Mastery. Check out my website is below. Astral Mastery is an amazing program. It's ongoing. It's live every week. And it also has a huge catalog, library of the lessons, the audios, and PDFs and all of that kind of stuff too. And this is the Ultimate Intuitive Expansion Program and Astral Exploration Program, where we're actually doing practices that help us to achieve self-initiated astral projection so we can bring more of spirit into our lives. And really to prepare us for, quite honestly, open contact with our benevolent extra-dimensional brothers and sisters. We are really proximate to that, y'all. It's all about advancing and enhancing and expanding in your stellar essence, in your astral, your star quality, because we're all made of stars, aren't we? All right. That is the reason I'm mentioning Astral Mastery especially is because right now you can, if you join, you become a founding member, which means that you can have access to all of the live Wednesday night classes that we're doing forever, for as long as it is actually on the internet. And then you sign up separately for if you are going to do the full coaching with the twice a month development circle that I have called Sacred Sphere. But if you sign up now before December 13th, you can have a part of this program. You can come live Wednesdays to classes forever. So it's pretty awesome. Beautiful community. Oh, good, Alexis. Oh, my goodness. I'm so excited. Alexis is going to be there. I'm so happy. Oh, hi, Lauren. You're nice to see you. You're just joining us at the very end. And thank you, Alexis. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited to connect with you. I can't wait to tell Stephanie. She's going to be so stoked that you're going to be there. Okay, those are the things. Check out my website for other programs like my animal communication, my modern mystic life, which is only $11 a month, and I have a spirit guide workshop, live workshop for that coming up on Monday. So much. Hi, Linda's going to be there too. Linda just joined us. See you Sunday. I saw that you registered, Linda. Yay! I'm so excited. Okay, I'm going to stop celebrating everyone so I can let you get about your day. I love you so much for coming, and I thank you. I love to say this, and I really genuinely mean this. Thank you for shining your light on our beautiful world, because we need you. You are so important, and thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.